It was a crisp autumn morning in the Scottish Highlands, where the air smelled faintly of heather and rain. The Outlander crew had gathered for a special event, aptly named Back to the Beginning, a sentimental journey to revisit the places where legends were born. Among the familiar faces, two figures captured every gaze the moment they appeared: Heughan and Caitriona Balfe. They stepped out of a vintage car together, her laughter breaking the morning mist like sunlight through fog, while Sam, ever the gentleman, held an umbrella shielding her from the soft drizzle. For a moment time seemed to stop. The world quieted as if a scene from Outlander itself had come alive, Jamie and Claire reborn in the same land that once witnessed their love unfold. Their first stop was Doune Castle, the fortress that once stood as Castle Leoch, the cradle of their story. Caitriona's fingertips brushed the moss-covered stones. Her eyes shimmered with nostalgia. "I remember every corner," she whispered. "It feels like it was only yesterday." Sam smiled warmth in his gaze. "And I still remember when you nearly slipped on these stairs. You would have fallen if I hadn't caught you in time." She laughed, eyes gleaming. "No, Sam. You caught me not because you're quick, but because you've always been saving me." Their laughter rippled through the ancient courtyard, wrapping the cold stone in something gentle. Even the crew, long accustomed to their closeness, couldn't hide their smiles. Between Sam and Caitriona, there was something beyond friendship or professionalism, a quiet, enduring bond that time itself couldn't touch. The next stop was Glencoe, that legendary valley framed by drifting clouds and endless green. Sam stood silently gazing toward the mountain where he once rode as Jamie Fraser in the series' first scenes. "I remember that day," he murmured. "I didn't know this place would change my life." Caitriona joined him, her voice soft as the wind. "Outlander changed both our lives. But most of all, it brought us together." He turned toward her, smiling with quiet affection. "Even if everything changes, I'll always be grateful for that." In that stillness, surrounded by the raw majesty of Scotland, they stood side by side, not as actors, but as two souls, thankful for the journey they had shared. By afternoon, they arrived at Croy, Nadan, the circle of stones that began it all. Caitriona looked at the towering rocks, emotion flickering across her face. "Every time I come here, it feels like a miracle is waiting, not just on screen, but in real life." Sam lowered his voice, his eyes gentle. "If I could really travel through time, I'd go back to the day we first met to tell myself this woman will change everything." Caitriona smiled through the soft sunlight, breaking through the mist. "And I'd tell myself to trust this man because he'll stand beside me in every story." The sky glowed gold as the mist parted the light, resting tenderly on the two of them. Nature itself seemed to bless their shared history. That evening, the crew gathered by the tranquil waters of Loch Lomond. The air smelled of peat smoke and whiskey. Violins played old Scottish songs. Sam and Caitriona raised their glasses beneath the warm lamplight. "We've walked through so much together, long nights," laughter tears, Caitriona said in her toast. "But when I look back, I feel only joy and gratitude." Sam added quietly, his voice carrying emotion. "Memories don't fade, they grow warmer." Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Caitriona, for making this the greatest journey of my life. Applause filled the night, but amid the noise, only their eyes met, sharing an unspoken truth. The next morning, as mist rolled once more across the hills, Caitriona paused by the glass door, gazing out toward the highlands. Sam came up behind her, resting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Do you think we'll come back here again?" she asked softly. "Of course," he smiled. "Because this isn't just where we worked, it's where our hearts belong." She nodded, whispering, "Then, see you soon, Scotland." The trip ended, yet the feeling lingered, woven into the hearts of everyone who had ever loved Outlander. For Sam and Caitriona, it wasn't merely about fame or film. It was about two souls who had found truth within fiction. That afternoon, the crew revisited a familiar lakeshore, the same spot where Jamie and Claire's first scene had been filmed. The lake was still reflecting the grey sky, like glass. "Remember this?" Caitriona smiled. "The first day we shot here, it was raining so hard I couldn't remember my lines." Sam laughed, and I was pretending to act brave, but in my head, I was thinking, I hope she doesn't notice how cold I am. Their laughter carried across the quiet waters, echoing like ghosts of younger days, days full of energy, innocence, and dreams. After the shoot, they wandered into the nearby woods. No cameras, no fans, just two old friends walking through golden leaves. Sam picked up a small yellow leaf and handed it to her. "Keep it. Call it a souvenir of everything we've built." She took it gently. A long journey, and a beautiful one. They stopped beside an ancient rock, the place where Jamie and Claire once said goodbye. Sam brushed his fingers over the stone. "It began here," he whispered. "And maybe it ends here too." Caitriona shook her head softly. "No, Sam. Beautiful things never really end. They just take new forms like us." He said nothing, but his eyes shimmered with feeling of time, of gratitude, of all that cannot be repeated. That evening, the crew shared one last, quiet celebration. No grand speeches, no flashing lights, just music, laughter, and the glow of the fire. Sam raised his glass. "To everyone who's kept Outlander alive, and to Caitriona, thank you for reminding me that Jamie and Claire are more than characters. They're a soul." Tears welled in Caitriona's eyes. And to Sam, the most wonderful partner. "Without you, Outlander wouldn't have the heart it does." They clinked their glasses. The moment felt timeless. No longer performance, but truth. Later, when the crowd dispersed, they remained by the fire. Caitriona leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you think," she asked softly, "when it's all over, people will still remember Jamie and Claire?" Sam smiled faintly. "Yes, because love like that never disappears. Somewhere, somehow, they're still living their story." She looked at him, her smile tinged with sadness. "Maybe they're us." He didn't answer, only took her hand. The firelight flickered in their eyes, carrying the weight of an entire era. The next morning, their paths diverged once more. Sam embraced her tightly, the kind of embrace that carries 1,000 unsaid words. "See you soon, Claire," he whispered. "See you soon, Jamie," she replied. As he walked away, the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a soft glow where her figure slowly faded into the mist. And in that moment, Sam realized the Outlander journey had never just been a role, it had become a living part of his soul, forever intertwined with the woman who helped him tell that eternal love story. And as dusk descended over the highlands, a tender breeze swept through the glen. If one listened closely, it almost sounded like Jamie and Claire's laughter, gentle, timeless, and eternal.